I'm 60 Second Spidey, and I'm recapping mainline Spider-Man comics in timeline order. Here's part 7. Green Goblin decides to reveal Spider-Man's secret identity as Peter finally befriends college classmate Harry Osborn. Spider-Man breaks up a rooftop robbery, but doesn't realize he was followed by the Goblin. Using a portable microphone, he learns Peter Parker is Spider-Man, then ambushes him outside of Aunt May's house. Peter can hardly fight back as Goblin captures him, then reveals he is classmate Harry's father, Norman Osborn. Green Goblin has revealed his identity to Peter. Norman explains how he sent co-worker Mendel Stromm to jail to take his experiments, which he used on himself to become the superpowered Green Goblin. This classic long villain speech gives Peter time to escape, leading to a deadly fight between the two where Green Goblin is hit with laser beams. The blast makes Norman forget he is Green Goblin and that Peter is Spider-Man, so Spidey burns Goblin's costume and lets Norman go free. The new villain Rhino is smashing through New York City as astronaut John Jameson explains he was hit by cosmic spores. It turns out Rhino has been sent to capture John, so Spider-Man intervenes, fighting with the Rhino who's built like a brick house. Spider-Man eventually concusses Rhino so bad he faints, saving John, then shows off his new motorcycle to his crush Gwen Stacy. The police are looking for Spidey, who was seen robbing a bank. Meanwhile, astronaut John Jameson's encounter with space spores has given him powers, which he channels using a silly suit. John decides to go after Spider-Man, fighting him as Peter reveals the money bag he stole was actually a bomb. Unfortunately, John has lost control and won't listen to reason, so Spidey is forced to whoop him and shoot him with electricity to permanently depower him. At home, Peter hits the jackpot and finally meets Mary Jane Watson. Peter is enamored after meeting Mary Jane, but they see Rhino has escaped. Rhino reflects on the experiments that gave him his powers in suit, then fights Spidey once again. Spider-Man tries to trap him, but Rhino breaks free and easily escapes. Spider-Man swings over to Kurt Connor's house and whips up some science spray, which he uses on the Rhino, dissolving his suit, allowing Spidey to easily take him out with a punch. The Avengers have decided to add Spider-Man to the team, so Thor finds Spidey to invite him to try out. In a battle of egos, Spider-Man of course ends up fighting the entire Avengers, thinking that's what they meant by try out. To really prove himself, they send him to fight the Hulk, but Hulk reverts to Banner and says he thinks the Avengers want to capture him. So Spidey frees him and declines the invite, not realizing the Avengers actually wanted to help Hulk. Dr. Kurt Connors is picking up his family at the train station when he suddenly turns back into the Lizard. Peter introduces Mary Jane to Harry, Flash, and Gwen Stacy as the Lizard frames Spider-Man by robbing a jewelry store. At night, Spider-Man tracks the Lizard down and unsuccessfully tries to turn him back into Kurt Connors. Lizard escapes after breaking Spider-Man's arm. The Lizard breaks into Kurt Connors' house to steal his notes, not realizing he is actually Kurt Connors. Despite breaking his arm last issue, Spider-Man fights Lizard, but is ambushed by his gang of reptiles. Don't tell PETA, but Spider-Man uses the wildlife as weapons, then pursues Lizard on top of a moving train, eventually tricking him into the freezer car. Spider-Man takes the now frozen Lizard home and turns him human once more. The new villain Shocker is committing a robbery, and uses his vibration weapons to knock Spider-Man out cold. But at least Harry Osborn invites Peter to live in his new apartment with him. Bugle reporter Frederick Foswell thinks he discovers Peter is Spider-Man, but Pete ties a costume to some webs and somehow throws him off the scent. Spider-Man and Shocker have a rematch, where Peter just webs the triggers on Shocker's weapons, then KOs him with ease. In a bizarre retcon, it's revealed Kraven fought Spidey the second time because Goblin paid him to, so Kraven is mad to learn that Goblin has seemingly died. Norman Osborn was the middleman in the deal, so Kraven goes looking for him. Peter and his friends are celebrating Flash joining the military when Kraven interrupts to kidnap Harry Osborn. Spider-Man follows Kraven to save Harry, but is blasted by Kraven's nipple lasers. Norman Osborn shows up, but still has no memories, so Kraven gives up his hunt, throwing Norman off a building, but Peter saves him. The Vulture, Adrian Toomes, is sick in jail and tells cellmate Blackie Drago where he hid his Vulture gear. Drago escapes prison, finds the outfit, and flies off to New York City. Despite his cold, Peter interrupts a robbery on a bridge, not realizing this is a new, younger Vulture. Vulture 2.0 overpowers the under-the-weather Spidey, giving him a beatdown and leaving him out cold in the snow. Kraven is jealous Vulture beats Spider-Man, so he wrestles a tiger to assert dominance, I guess? Vulture 2.0, Blackie Drago, is committing aerial robberies, when Kraven attacks him to prove he is cooler. Unfortunately for them, a now healthy Spidey shows up and takes them both on, tricking Kraven into nipple-lasering Vulture. Spidey sucker punches Kraven in the gut, making him faint, then rushes home to pretend to be sick to appease Aunt May. Spider-Man stops probably his 700th robbery, but the public still doesn't trust him because of the Daily Bugle. This gets Peter in his feels, especially after missing social plans to be a hero, so he decides he will be Spider-Man no more. A kid finds his abandoned costume, which makes Jonah elated, as Peter enjoys having a normal life for once, not realizing a new criminal starts making moves in his absence. However, Peter can't resist helping an old man who reminds him of his Uncle Ben, so he takes his costume back and unretires, making Jonah furious. The new criminal Wilson Fisk plans to take over the city as the Kingpin, but Spider-Man stops some of his criminal activity. Realizing the Daily Bugle is onto him, the Kingpin has Jonah kidnapped and reveals reporter Frederick Foswell was his double agent. Spider-Man tracks down Kingpin and fights him, breaking his magic staff, but gets knocked out by a clown-like tie pin that shoots smoke, leaving him defenseless. Kingpin captured Jonah and Spidey last issue, but instead of killing them a normal way, he locks them up in a room that will slowly drown them. But Spider-Man makes a web cocoon to save them. Jonah accidentally knocks himself out as Spider-Man goes after Kingpin. He's able to actually do damage this time, so Kingpin flees like a baby. Spider-Man finds Jonah just as reporter Frederick Foswell sacrifices his life to save him. Thanks for watching part 7 of my Spider-Man timeline recap. Like, follow, and subscribe as I post daily shorts and long-form compilations.